Good morning, YouTube. Hope you guys are having a good day today. Welcome back to another episode of the HAVOC Nation vlog. I'm still trying to figure out what we're calling this thing exactly. But anyways, today we're going to head over to Josh Caleb's house. We're going to check out what's going on with the race Jeep. I believe they got that 60 housing in, so we're going to check that out. We're also going to talk about what we feel are the 5 biggest myths about rock crawling. You know, stuff like, oh, it's too expensive, to, oh, you can't do it here in California anymore, stuff like that. So hope you guys enjoy it, and let's head over there. Yo! Yay! Matthias, Master Builder. What are you working on, bro?
Taking out the engine on my R6.
Taking it out again?
Yeah.
What?
Still leaking.
What year R6 is this?
It's an 05.
05. Matt got it pretty cheap. Something wrong with getting stuff cheap, but sometimes you gotta put quite a bit of work to get it going. So you guys are sending in the Fox shocks?
Yeah, that's the plan. So hopefully they'll rebuild them for us. Did you see the front Dana 60 yet? Well, this is the new Dana 60 in all its glory. We'll be ordering the truss from TNT Customs today too. So you guys, if anybody who watching has a ZJ or a Jeep or anything like that, and you're putting either a 60, even a 44, a lot of you guys know that you're going to run into a lot of space issues, especially on these Jeeps. With the front end, you got so much stuff going on up front that you don't have a whole lot of room. So TNT Customs, they have really nice low profile trusses that'll give you a lot of room to work with. So really cool place. They're here in California. I'm pretty sure they're in California. I'm not exactly sure where they're from, but I think, if I remember correctly, they are here in California. So it's a good place. They got everything for Jeeps that you need. One thing we can talk about today is like safety.
Yeah.
I guess. In Northern California, especially here, the last couple of years we've had an increasing number of deaths on the trail, especially like at the Rubicon and Moon Rocks, and it's all been because of people not wearing seatbelts. You know what I mean? And alcohol is not even, I mean, yes, a lot of them were drinking, but that's not the main cause. You know, it was like this last guy that died on Memorial Day on the Rubicon, where he flipped over. It doesn't matter if you were drinking or not, you would have rolled over. But the passenger wasn't wearing his seatbelt, and of course he flew out of the car and got crushed by the car. You know, it takes 2 seconds to put on your seatbelt, and you're golden. It's about being responsible and just putting your seatbelt on. You don't even have to have a full harness. You know, I have a lap belt, and a lap belt is better than nothing, you know? So in this, obviously, we have the full, you know, 5-point harness, but in the crawlers, we all run just a lap belt, and that's good enough. You know, it'll at least keep you in the car in case you roll over, and a broken arm is better than being dead, in my opinion, you know?
That's true. That is definitely true.
You have, for example, Kevin Adler at the Baja 1000, or no, it wasn't the, it was, I don't know, they were doing a race down in Mexico. It's like, it's the different version of the 1000. It's still a 1000, but it's not the Baja 1000. Yeah. He got in an accident, and you know, still wearing his 5-point harness and everything, but I guess his arm came out, didn't come out, but it just through the safety net, he hit the ground with his arm and completely messed up his whole left arm. You know, he's been in the hospital for a month. He's had like 2 different surgeries, you know, so it's like, you can't completely get rid of the risk, But like I said, a broken arm is better than being dead.
The things that kind of bug real rock crawlers, you know, people that actually go wheeling, is trash. Pick up your trash, man. Talk about trash, Josh, and why tree huggers are trying to shut down the trails.
That's another big problem going on, especially here in Northern California. I'm not sure about, you know, everywhere else. You know, like on the Rubicon and trails like Fordyce that are extremely popular up here in this area. You get guys that are, you know, like with the Rubicon, Friends of the Rubicon Foundation. You know, at the start of the trail, they hand out spill kits, they hand out trash bags, you know, for you to put all your stuff in. But yet you still see cans, you know, litter all over the trail. And in part, it's being responsible. You know, the fact that we are able to go out and wheel, and you know, the sheriffs up on the Rubicon, they don't bother you. You know, you can drink.
But if you keep doing this stuff, they will have to.
You know, and the sheriffs just say hi, they walk right by, they don't bother you. Got so many of these liberal groups that are trying to shut all these trails down. You know, and we all have to do our part to kind of combat that and just pick up your trash. It's not that hard. You put a bag on the back of your truck, you throw all your cans in it, you know, and you pack your stuff out with you. On one trail, on Fordyce a few months ago, we went up there at the beginning of the season, and there was like 7 glass bottles on the ground, just hanging out on the ground. You know, and that does kind of frustrate me, because glass will break, you know, so if you drop or something on the trail, now you got to deal with broken glass all over the trail. So it's just one of those things where if you can avoid bringing glass with you, don't bring glass, bring cans.
And not only if you could avoid, just don't bring glass. Dangerous for just people, but then you're slashing everybody's tires, you know. Tires aren't cheap, right? And
no,
even if you get them, even if you get them used, they're still not cheap. You know, people work hard to put these wheelers together. Now, what if I did pay full price for my tire, and because some moron decided to leave his glass bottle or her glass bottle out on the trail, you know, slash my $400 tire? So pick up your trash, be safe on the trail.
You know, hearing about all these groups that are trying to get trails closed down, you know, you start to kind of think, okay, well, what can I do to make a difference? And even though you think you may not be making a difference by yourself, I mean, you really are. It's, you know,
it's got to start somewhere.
Exactly. You know, you got to start small and work out. Because if one person sees you picking up trash, basically he sees you doing it, it's going to make him want to, all right, well, if this guy's picking up trash, you know, then I kind of feel like a jerk if I'm not, you know what I mean? It's going to make him want to pick up trash too. We're on the trail and I see a can on the ground, yeah, okay, I didn't drop it, you know, some person who wasn't being responsible, or whoever, whatever the reason is that they dropped it, who cares? You know, I get out of my car, I pick it up, you know, I put it in our trash bag, because it's just about, you know, it's about doing it for the greater good.
What is actually happening on the trails?
A lot of the guys that I wheel with, and you know, the guys that kind of live in this area that are, you know, they're into rock crawling, and you know, we enjoy it. They try and go as many weekends as possible. A lot of those guys, you'd be surprised. I mean, usually those are the ones that are drinking the most, but they're also the ones being the most respectful of the trail, you know? Right. And it's because we're the ones who are up there the most throughout the season, and we want to keep going every year. So it's a lot of these guys that get from out of town, you know, especially on big wheeling holiday weekends. They come from out of town and they party and they just leave trash everywhere, you know. And if you're from out of town and you're not familiar with the trails and, like, you know, what you can and cannot do, there's plenty of things that you can look up and research, you know, if you're not sure.
Online, yeah. Just
online,
look, the power of Google.
I mean, you can go to the National Forest web page, and they have a list of all the trails, you know, that they tell you what you can and can't do. I mean, even then, I mean, Pirate 4x4 on the forums. You go on the forums. I mean, there's forums for each trail. There's a forum for Fordyce. There's a forum for Rubicon. There's a forum for Moon Rocks. And, you know, there's plenty of people on there. You know, there's plenty of different topics that people talk about. You know, if you're not sure of something, go on there and there's plenty of information there that you can sift through and find what you're looking for. I mean, honestly, Pirate 4x4 is pretty much your one stop. You can pretty much find anything, you know, any type of information there on anything.
No, we enjoy being out in nature. We like staying on the trail. They're registered highways, okay? We have a right to be out there. They are registered highways or roadways, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, I mean, we stay on the trail. We're rock crawlers. We like to crawl over rocks, not trees. We're not shooting Bambi. You know, we're not killing everything in sight that moves. We're just enjoying nature, and sometimes the only way to get out there, if you don't want to hike, is to use a rock crawler, to use a rig and get out there. Pavement pounders. If you guys don't know what pavement pounders are, okay, it's trucks that are lifted. They're on big tires. You know, they look like they should go off-road, but you could totally tell they've never been on even dirt in their entire lives. And so if you're thinking about getting into wheeling, pavement pounders, guys that drive pavement pounders, are not a true representation of the off-roading community. In fact, the off-roading community, the guys that actually wheel, that go out there and rock crawl, you know, I don't care if you're doing overlanding or, you know, exploration type of stuff, or rock crawling, or just going down a dirt road to get to your favorite fishing hole. They're actually some of the coolest guys that you'll meet. They're usually very helpful. Anything you want to talk about, like what the rock crawling or wheeling community is actually like?
Ultimately, it's all about having fun. You know what I mean? And if you're broken and you're stuck, you're not having fun. You know? So it's like, you know, we all try and help each other out, get, you know, your car back on the trail, and that's what it's all about. You know, we're all here to help each other out. We're all here to have a good time, you know, and we're all here to have fun. You know, but also at the same time, we're trying to be respectful. You know, we're trying to keep the trails open. You know, and that's what you got. You know, as ambassadors of the you know, off-roading and racing. Right. You know, it's your, not necessarily your duty, but it's, you know, it's implied. You know, that you have to take initiative, and you know, you got to you know, show other people that you are being respectful. Find somebody that is an off-roader and get into it, because it's a really cool community to be part of. Mudding versus wheeling versus rock crawling. So we're going to talk a little bit about the interpretation of the different terms. Well, our opinion on that. Like, if you're mudding in somebody else, private property, man, in somebody's field, and you're destroying their property, that's not cool. You're not wheeling or rock crawling or any of that stuff. You're probably a pavement pounder that decided, oh, I want to go play in a field, destroy somebody's property, so my truck looks cool, because that's usually what all they care about. But yeah, it's kind of like from my experience being in the off-roading world for, geez, I don't even know how many years. You get a lot of people that kind of talk like they know what they're talking about, but then they really don't. You know, kind of one of the biggest things that grinds my gears is when I meet new people and I start talking about four-wheeling, and they're like, oh yeah, I got a four-wheeler. What kind of four-wheeler you got? And then they say like they got like a Yamaha or something. Like, what?
A quad.
What are they talking about? Well, they're talking about quads. You know, ATVs. You know, a lot of people will call a quad a four-wheeler. The correct terminology for a quad is an ATV. It's not a four-wheeler. You don't call a dirt bike a two-wheeler, you know. You call it a dirt bike, so you call an ATV or a quad. I don't know, that's just kind of my opinion.
Yeah.
Right? And then you get guys that are, you know, mudders. You know, they're like, oh, you know, yeah, I go wheeling. Well, it's like, well, where have you been? They're like, oh, you know, I just do mud. It's okay to admit that you don't know what you're talking about, you know?
Right.
And, you know, when I talk to people, I have no problems if they don't know what they're talking about, explaining and teaching people you know, about wheeling and stuff like that. You know? Wheeling is rock crawling, you know. Four-wheeler is a truck that you take wheeling. You know, a quad is an ATV or a quad. It's not a four-wheeler. And mudding is mudding. It's not wheeling. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. So if you're wanting to get into off-roading, just don't pose. Don't be a poser. Don't say something that you're not doing. Or the way I like to say it is, wheeling, there's an element of there might be some damage to your car. You know, it's challenging enough to where there might be some damage to your car if you mess up. So, does it have to be rock crawling on the Rubicon? No. It could be overlanding, it could be on, you know, there's some hard dirt sections. There's some parts on a trail where I flexed out the most, or, you know, was in trouble of rolling over or whatever. It was just a dirt road, but it was a challenging dirt road. You know, maybe the snow washed it out or whatever. If you're going down a little dirt road, you know, and you got to go through a puddle, don't come back and say, oh dude, I totally went wheeling today. No, you went off-road. You went off-roading, but was your car ever in trouble of possibly getting damaged? No. In my opinion, you probably weren't wheeling, you were just off-roading. So, anyways, get out there, do it all, you know, and that's why I want to make this video, is to just help maybe inform people of some of the myths and misconceptions, and, you know, get out there, go off-roading, get out in nature, do whatever, just don't embellish. Okay, here's the last point, and probably nearest and dearest to our hearts, is probably the biggest thing that keeps people out of wheeling and enjoying off-roading is, well, it's just too expensive. I don't want to get into it because it's too expensive. Or, you know, people look at us and they go, oh my gosh, they're being so irresponsible. They got a rock crawler that's so much money. I've heard it's so much money. It's really not that expensive to build a rock crawler, to be honest. You don't have those skills to build a rock crawler. You need us to build you one. I don't know. I mean, I don't know about you, Josh, but in my opinion, for $6 grand, I think we could build you a pretty sweet, and that includes the truck, parts, and our labor, you know. I mean, it ain't gonna be the craziest rock crawler ever, but
no, I mean,
you know, I'm giving an example for about $6K. If you were to come with us for $6K, yeah, I think we could build you a pretty sweet, something that could do the Rubicon for sure.
Here's the thing, I mean, I have, you know, obviously I have a rock buggy, you know, and, you know, full tube frame, all the works, you know, yeah. There's a little bit of money into it. Honestly, it's actually not as much as you think is into it. I actually built it for pretty cheap, and I did it all by myself, you know, just using basically Harbor Freight tools.
Right.
You know, so yeah, it's nothing pretty, but you know what? It does the job.
Yeah.
I can beat the crap out of it. I can go fast. I can go slow. It's still pretty smooth. It's a smooth ride, you know. And I built it for really cheap, to be honest. You know, I probably have maybe $6 grand into it completely, you know, and that's with, and well, I mean, I did get hooked up with a few things, but for the most part, you know, I did everything by myself. So it's, you know, and there's an acronym that's, you know, called KISS. It's called Keep It Simple Stupid, you know, and I have a lot of buddies who are, you know, getting into wheeling, and they look at my buggy, and that, you know, that's what they want. They're like, oh, I want, you know, I want a buggy with, you know, with a full-size axles, with the V8, you know, I want all of that. But it's like, oh, but it, you know, that's a lot of money, and I can't afford that right now. Well, it's like, you don't need that. You can go, you know, a little Toyota on Toyota axles on leaf springs will go in the same exact spots that my buggy can do. You know what I mean? And it'll go on the same trails. It will get to the same destination and come back just as well as my rock buggy, you know? Yeah, well, obviously my rock buggy can probably get there a little bit faster, but that's not the point. The point is you're there to have fun, you know? And it's not like we're going that fast on the trail anyways. Shoot, a little Toyota on leaf springs won the stock class at King of the Hammers, you know what I mean? And that's one of the toughest one-day races in the world. If you want to get started, you know, a little Jeep, a little old school Wrangler or whatever, you know, on leafs, a Cherokee, they're really not that expensive to get now. You know, the prices are coming down on those, and it's not really that hard to throw a few little upgrades onto it and you're out wheeling.
Yeah, you know, in fact, if anything, not having the rock buggy, and I know we've talked about this as our wheeling has evolved, and a lot of rock crawlers will say this too, is you know, sometimes we almost miss having that starter car because it almost made it more challenging, well, you know. So, you know, so part of the, like
a friend of ours, he used to race in Ultra 4 as well, and we met up on the trail one time. He has a bone stock Toyota 4Runner. Nothing special, you know. It was like, what, I think he put like a 2-inch like block lift, you know, under the leaf springs, you know, stock leaves. I think he welded the rear end and then put some like 33s on it, you know. And he went just as far as we did. And I saw him the other day, you know, or not the other day, but when we were on the trail. And I was like, oh, you didn't bring the race car out? He's like, no, man, it's too easy. It's too easy now, you know. He's like, I missed the challenge of driving the little car and having to, you know, find your lines and you know, and having to use driver skill to get over rocks, you know. And that's kind of, you know, that's kind of what I miss too, you know. With the rock buggy, it's just, you just point, you hit the gas and you go, you know, that's it. It'll go over pretty much anything on the trail that I throw at it. It's always nice to get back to those roots and just, you know, that little car and just beat up on the trail, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of, I personally think it's a lot of fun.
It's kind of, I guess, our 5 points of some of the things that bug us about what people say about wheeling, you know, either whether they're myths or whether they're just stuff that, you know, grinds our gears, as Josh said. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope it was helpful, and I hope it inspires you guys to get out there, get off-road, and whatever, whether, like Josh said, whether it's a dirt bike, a quad, a truck, whatever that is. If you guys need some help doing that, you know, if you need us to build something for you or help you guys out, shoot me an email. And we're located in Sacramento, California. If you're in Northern California and you want us to build you a rig, let us know. We'll come up with a budget and get you out on the trail, whatever that is, no matter how easy or how hard. Get out there, get out in nature, enjoy what God made, and it's beautiful, and I don't know, we love it, and we think you guys would love it too. Have a good day. See ya.